Hi there. Thanks for taking a few minutes with me to dive into proficiency-based assessment. At Realms, we believe strongly that all of our students can achieve high levels of academic growth, and the more you as students and parents understand our assessment system, the better you'll be able to guide your own growth. During this presentation, we're going to look at 3 questions. Why are we using proficiency-based assessment? What exactly is it? And maybe most important of all, how do students and parents make use of proficiency-based assessment? At Realms, we have a compelling definition for the kinds of achievement we're aiming for with our students. We strive to help our students become critical thinkers, interdisciplinary problem solvers, citizen scholars, and motivated, self-aware learners. With this rich, rigorous, and innovative vision of achievement in mind, it becomes more clear that we need an assessment system that will help our students get there. Traditional grades won't describe our students' progress and growth with enough detail or information to really guide them on their journey. Specifically, proficiency-based assessment has the potential to help us accelerate student achievement because it emphasizes the deep learning of academic skills and content more than just assignment completion. It helps students be more aware of their performance on specific targets. It provides more detailed and usable information to students and parents. And because of that, it allows students to start to take more responsibility for their learning. Last but not least, it separates academic performance from habits of work. One caveat about all this is that grades, even ones that are based on a detailed description of proficiency on standards, are not really the best driver of student learning and motivation. It's tempting sometimes for parents and even teachers to think of grades as a tool that can help solve learning or achievement challenges. But truly, grades don't solve problems or teach students new skills. So I encourage you to keep this perspective in mind. The best drivers of learning are high-quality instruction, a strong feedback loop between student and teacher, and positive relationships, not grades. Okay, with that said, let's look for some terms that will help you as students and parents become savvy and skilled consumers of your own assessment data. First of all, standards versus learning targets. We use these terms interchangeably and they show up in our grade books interchangeably. They're slightly different. Learning targets are basically curriculum standards, instructional objectives, which are written by state and federal curriculum design groups and agencies. Learning targets are these standards that are written in student-friendly language by teachers specifically for our classes. Secondly, habits of work. These soft skills will show up in our gradebooks, and they are increasingly becoming the most sought-after skills in our rapidly changing job market. These are the kinds of skills that will help students become successful lifelong learners in any discipline, skill, or content area. At Realms, we focus on just 3: responsibility, determination, and participation. Secondly, another set of terms here that show up in our gradebook are these 3 categories of work that our students do: practice assignments, scaffolded assignments, and on-demand scaffolded assessments and on-demand assessments. Practice assignments have the purpose of giving students a place to attempt, develop, and practice new skills. They're typically not graded. The focus really is on feedback for growth. Scaffolded assessments, on the other hand, are done both in the classroom and sometimes for homework. They're for developing, applying new and old skills. Typically they are graded, but they're scaffolded because students can include revision, teachers can coach students can work together in small groups to complete these assessments. Finally, the third category are on-demand assessments. These ones are really independent and private. This is an opportunity for each individual student to demonstrate the skill level they have attained in a given standard. And yes, these ones also show up in the gradebook. These terms are familiar to most of you. These are the terms that we use to describe the different levels of proficiency on standards. Not yet developing, proficiency, and mastery, aligned to a 6-point rubric. I want to make 3 quick points about this slide. First of all, at Realms we use the score of developing, or 3, to indicate that a student has made good progress. They're close. Just a little more effort, a little more practice, a little more teacher support, and they will be there. Secondly, that at Realms, proficiency is set as an intentionally high bar. We purposefully challenge students with a rigorous definition of what it takes to reach proficiency in any given standard and at any given grade level. And then finally, mastery, a score of 6. It's important to know that this is not necessarily possible or available or offered on every assessment in every standard, just on some. Okay, the last slide. In this slide, I've created a chart that is designed to emphasize a rather important idea that grades change over time. I've created a fictional 9-week unit focused on one academic standard, and I've broken that unit into three-week chunks with one assessment in each third of the unit. You can see from the first column under week 1 through 3 that after 3 weeks of instruction and one assessment, we can anticipate that maybe 80% of our students will still be at not yet. But look how that changes over time in the second third of the unit and in the final third of the unit. By then, after 3 assessments and 9 weeks of instruction, we're going to imagine that 75 or more % of our students will be at proficiency or above. This is an important fact to remember, this chronology of learning, that over time the students will grow and develop through the course of a unit. It is especially important when we dive into ParentVue and see how this all looks when you look at the grade view in ParentVue. We'll do that next. Okay, so for this section of the presentation, we're going to spend a few minutes diving into ParentVue and StudentVue. This is the portal for kids and parents to get inside a teacher's gradebook, to track homework, assignment completion, and also proficiency on standards as we discussed previously. Let's start by diving into the calendar view here. The calendar view of this system shows on a calendar all the assignments a student has been working on over the course of the month. Notice that they were in the month of November. This is all classes. You can actually filter by class if you would like. It's important to notice here that if a student has a missing assignment, something not turned in yet, it will show up with this red missing word. Also notice that you can click on the assignment, find out more information about it, and even email the teacher directly from here. One last thing to notice about the homework calendar, and this is a great place to track missing assignments, is to make sure to go back to previous months, because a student might, for example, have one missing assignment or 2 or more sneaking in from the previous month. Here's another math assignment that is missing. So this calendar is a great place to track assignment completion and upcoming homework. You can have different views. You can sort to just look at missing assignments. So there's lots of flexibility here. The other place that I want to encourage, and we do encourage students and parents to look at, is the gradebook. When you click on gradebook, you'll see a list of classes. Study hall is actually Flexerator. Advisory is actually Crew. Let's jump in and take a quick look at this student's math class. When you click on gradebook and on a specific subject, the default view that you land on is a list of assignments and assessments from the class by date. Most recent at the top, here's an assessment scaffolded, an assessment on demand, other on-demand assessments. You'll notice that practice assignments do show up here, although none of these assignments are graded. At Realms, with proficiency-based assessment, we don't grade assignments, we actually grade standards that are attached to each assignment. You'll also notice over here that any assignments that are missing will show up. And then I want to really direct your attention to a place that we think is really important, and this is the standards view. This is where you don't track assignment completion. You get to see how you or your student is doing on each of the standards in the class. So this student in math has been tackling 4 different standards. One of them is a habit of work standard, and you can see that they have these scores. Let's jump back to the main page of the gradebook and this time drop into science. In science, again, we land on the main assignment page. I'm going to direct your attention to this standards page again, because again, this is where we get to see performance. Remember, it's not completely live. There are lagging pieces of work that may not be entered into this gradebook yet. It's as live as possible, but it is absolutely not live. So let's explore some standards. First of all, notice reds and greens. I want you to caution you on spending too much time on red versus green. I believe these colors can sort of maybe cause undue panic or undue complacency. These two standards are both a score of 3. This one might be slightly above a 3 and therefore is green, and this one slightly below a 3 and therefore is red. I would say more important than reds versus greens is both the number and, most importantly, that I can open up this standard and I can look to see what assessment or practice assignments have been connected and scored. So under I can conduct high quality science investigations, if I'm this student, I have a 6. That's a mastery and actually quite rare. And then when I open up the standard, I see that there's actually just been one assessment so far connected to this standard. There must be more to come. But on this assessment on October 17th, I did exceptionally well. Let's take a look at the next standard. When I open it up, I can see that there have been 2 assessments. One, a scaffolded assessment on September 29th, and one, an on-demand assessment on October 17th. My score is getting better over time, and I can assume that there will be a 3rd assessment coming. Our teachers have committed as best they can to make sure that every main learning target or standard has 3 opportunities for students to demonstrate their level of proficiency. 3 assessments attached to each standard. The fact that there has only been 2 in this standard leads me to believe that there is 1 yet to come. And that will be my opportunity, hopefully, to reach proficiency or better. Let's take one more look at this final standard. Here's one where there have been 3 assessments. One on October 17th, 22nd, and November 4th. My score has been mixed, 3, 4, 3. This is an interesting one to notice. This teacher has included 2 practice assignments and scored them. That doesn't always happen, and it may be that this teacher is planning another assessment, an on-demand assessment or a scaffolded assessment, to finish up the unit. We're not exactly sure by looking at this. However, what we do see is that the score is 3, 4, 3. My overall score in the standard is a 3 using what's called the power law. It's not an exact average. It's a way of averaging scores that weights most recent performance and is a predictor of how I might perform next time. So I really want to emphasize this standards side of this gradebook. I also want to remind you that grades really don't teach students. Grades don't develop skills. Grades don't solve learning challenges. That happens with really great instruction, really great feedback from teachers, and good relationships, and lots of communication between families and school. Thanks a ton for watching this. We will send you more information as we get better at using this system and as we develop workarounds to make it a better informational system for you students and you parents. In the meantime, if you have questions, feel free to give our office a call or send us an email. Give yourself a big pat on the back for watching this. You've taken a big step towards helping yourself or helping your son or daughter be more successful at Realms. Thanks very much.